With the Cougars reporting to fall camp, it's a busy time for the support staff, and the man who oversees all of it is Jon Swift. He's been at BYU since 2018, was elevated to Kalani Sitake's chief of staff after the Cougars got serious and joined the Big 12. And he joins us tonight here on the Wise Guys. And, John, we just had this awesome interview with Mark Wilson. How much fun is it to spend so much time with these quality student athletes?
I don't know that there's any better job in the world, to be honest. I mean, these guys are great. They keep us young. They keep us fresh. They keep us on our toes. But they're a blast to be around, honestly, and they're just genuinely good kids.
And John, you get to interact with a lot of former players as well. Guys like Mark Wilson, when they come back, I know that you're a big part of every aspect of what's going on as the chief of staff. What's that like to be able to rub shoulders with the Steve Youngs and the Mark Wilsons and the Jim McMahons and many, many more that were phenomenal representatives of BYU that went and played in the National Football League?
I mean, it's an incredible thing. I think, BYU obviously has a storied program that has a lot of big names that have come through its ranks and current guys in the NFL. And to have those guys feel like they're still a part of it. I think we saw a big push this past year during spring ball of Kalani reaching out to the alumni through the alumni game and otherwise, and just saying, like, look, we need you guys. You're as much a part of the program now as it's ever been. And we love all you guys and want you to still come around. And, having worked with the team as a student manager, I built relationships with guys like David Nixon and Brian Keel and Kyle Van Noy and Max Hall and Dennis Pitta and Austin Colley, all those guys who were here before. That was kind of my time being a student. So I got to know all those guys. And so to be in a different capacity now and still working with the program, it's nice to see those guys still come around, still excited about BYU football and wanting to contribute in a new way themselves.
Jon Swift is the chief of staff for Kalani Sitake here on the Wise Guys tonight. It's quiet where you are. You look rested. Is this the calm before the storm? You ready for tomorrow?
It's the calm before the storm. We're ready. It's the beehive was buzzing early, but the goal is that, when it's a few days before or even through the month of July, that most of the plans are made and that all we have to do now is execute and roll into the season and enjoy it. So it's a lot of work, but there's a lot of moving parts that I'm lucky to have a great team and to have Kalani's full faith in all of us to handle operations and to make sure things go hopefully without a hitch.
So when everything starts tomorrow, how many players will report?
We'll have 110 guys that will report.
So 110. And when they walk onto campus into that student-athlete building, what's the process tomorrow? What are they going through tomorrow? So Puka Nacua walks in. What's Puka got in store for him tomorrow?
Well, the first thing is we got to make sure that these guys understand that, we're going to take care of their nutritional needs. If we're going to keep their interest, we got to make sure they know we're going to feed them. So that's how the day will always start through camp is with some food.
Wise choice.
Nobody wants a hungry player. Nothing goes well that way. So
Kalani, by the way, Kalani is not good when he's hungry either. So you're doing the right thing.
He's a different guy. He turns into I call him Scary Kalani when he's hungry. So.
Yeah, and he'll admittedly say so. It's funny. I think we're all like that to a degree. But so they'll start the day with some food, and then we have a unique thing here where we built a partnership with Carlos Sokia, and he does an incredible thing with a motivational assessment that we feel, as part of our program, is really helped our players to figure out who they are and what kind of career path they want to be on. So we go into doing some things like that to do a little workshop and helping the players understand their own motivations and how that can drive them as a player and as a student, and then into the future as a career working man or an NFL player. And then we'll after that go into more lunch and food, and then we'll start doing gear distributions and iPad distributions so they can watch film. And then we'll go into the most dreaded meeting, I think, for all of the players on report day. And that's the one where we just go down the long laundry list of checking off the boxes of things they've got to know. And the meeting of, hey, here's all the people who need to give their spiel for the year so that we can cover our bases and make sure that all the players are informed. It's a lot of information, but it's something we've got to do every year just to make sure that we're checking the boxes of, financial aid, of training, of nutrition, of compliance, of a whole laundry list of items that it's helpful for especially the new guys to know and for the vets to hear again and be reminded of.
Let's go back to the gear distribution. Nike's the provider. When did you order the jerseys, pants, pads, and cleats, and how does a guy get his number assigned?
Yeah, so generally, we've ordered stuff the year before. And so, stuff was ordered actually before the turnover even happened. When Billy Nixon moved into the director of football operations role, he had already done the order for the following year. So that cake was already baked. So Josh will be working now to order for the following year, this year. So that stuff's already happened. The real waiting game and the real headache comes with, when is it going to come in? And ever since COVID, that's been the real nightmare of, when are we going to receive all the stuff? We pride ourselves on taking care of the boys in terms of the gear. And that's an important thing from Kalani's perspective of making sure that they're feeling the love that way, that they can rep the Y, rep Nike. And so we try and get a ton of gear for the guys and spread that out throughout camp and then throughout the season. But it's always a head scratcher as to, okay, when is the stuff actually going to show up? And that includes jerseys and game pants and all that stuff. So, when you're talking about trying to plan for games and what uniform you're going to wear, there's always a little fear when you're wondering if stuff's going to show up on time.
So if Blaine walks in and wants number 16 again,
can I have it?
Can he have it, or is there a fight for it? Who gets number 16?
That's a good question. It's been done different ways in the past, but we've found that the best way to do that is to take care of the vets first and to do it by seniority and let it trickle down from there. We really don't run into too many issues. The bigger area we run into issues when you have guys who need to be on the field at the same time on like special teams depth and trying to figure out, okay, well, if we've got an offensive and a defensive guy who are both on the same special team, they can't both be wearing the number 2.
Right.
So we're going to have to tell the one that he's got to switch. And generally the players are okay with it. Sometimes we try and get creative and throw a different, over the top jersey on them or a different number and let them switch out real quick, but that can get complicated too. So we really, it boils down to, veterans get first choice, and we've put it in the hands now. So Kalani doesn't have to worry about as much of our equipment manager. And so Josh will be the one who gets to take on that lovely task of working through that with the players, and
he gets to mediate. It's funny because we asked Mark how he got his number, Mark Wilson, John, and he said Brother Jay. So Floyd Johnson, the old equipment manager that we all know of his history, Brother Johnson just said, here's your number, you have 6, and this is why I'm giving it to you. And Mark was just like, oh, okay, that makes sense. And he gave it to him because a quarterback from the University of Washington, by where Mark grew up, was his nickname was Six Shooter.
And he wore number 6.
And so Mark's like, okay, cool. Now, Brother Jay was asking me, do you want this number or do you want that number, Brother Johnson? And Jim McMahon was standing right next to me. And I'm like, I wore 14 in high school. And they were like, well, 14, that's a veteran. You can't have 14. And Jimmy Mack goes, before I wore 9, I wore 16. You should wear 16. I'm like, I'll take 16.
That was it. You followed Jimmy Mack's
advice? So
advice?
Jimmy Mack tells you should take 16, you take 16. And that's the number Jim wore as a sophomore, he told me.
Yeah,
I'm like,
that was.
Okay, if that was good enough for Jimmy, I'll take it. So that's how I got my number. And then my boys wore that number as well at BYU.
Yeah, so that's a great story.
That's a solid quarterback number. I like that number. It's a good one.
Hey, so over the next couple of days, what do the guys go through before they actually get to practice? Once they get through the meetings tomorrow, what happens?
Yeah, so really tomorrow's the main day that they do anything other than actually jumping into things. And that's really the day of meetings and getting caught up to speed on any information that we have, getting gear and just reporting, and then getting their initial kind of 3 square meals to get ready for camp. And then come Thursday, we hit the ground running. I mean, it's practice day 1, it's meetings, it's walkthroughs. And obviously the first practice, we can only go helmets only. So it'll be, not as physical as maybe you might expect otherwise, but it's good to kind of grease the wheels and get things rolling. Yeah. But just a lot of logistical stuff tomorrow that happens, not really any physical things that happen. And that's by design. But they get tired in a different way tomorrow.
Yeah, they get mentally exhausted. And it's different than the olden days. In fact, not that far in the past. It used to be camp was just a series of 2-a-days, but that's not how it is anymore, right? John, it's mandated by the NCAA. Explain how that works. How many practices can you have in a day and in a week?
Yeah, so the way that it works out is you can start your official first day of practice 29 days before your first competition. Now, for us, we get a day added to that, so we can actually count back 30 because we don't practice on Sundays. And because that's a full day off for us, we get that ability to make up a day in that regard. And then you can practice, within that calendar period of time up until your competition, pretty much as needed, but you get 1 practice a day, and then you get a walkthrough a day as well if you want to use that. But you have to have 3 hours in between the practice and the walkthrough. So between those on-field activities. just trying to protect the boys and keep them out of the heat, or, keep from the old days, like you say. I mean, when I was a student, I remember we did 2-a-day practices, and it was like true Groundhog's Day. I mean, it's one thing to go through camp and have a very similar schedule every day, but it's another thing to do that same schedule 2 times a day all through camp. So it's still a grind, but it's a little bit better. And we do a few things to try and get the boys rest in different ways, do some regen on Wednesdays as opposed to a full day of practice, and Sundays are off, and Saturdays are typically scrimmage days or half days where we just go the first half. So we try and find ways to keep in mind that these guys are going to get worn out and still balance being prepared for our first competition by utilizing as many of the days as possible throughout that 30-day span.
Jon Swift is the chief of staff for Kalani Sitake. Part of your job is to help develop culture and chemistry with the team. That's a tough job. When it doesn't work, the season doesn't work. And when it does work, like you've experienced the last couple of years, everybody's having a good time and you win a lot of games. So all these guys show up 110 tomorrow. What will you be looking for to read the room, to see what you need to work on chemistry-wise to bring the team together?
That I rely on Kalani heavily for that. I mean, this is his program, and I don't think there's anyone better to lead a program personally. I mean, he's so natural in his ability to connect with people, especially his players, his staff, and everybody, and find those buzzwords and those things to focus on, those areas of emphasis that can make a difference and that will be a competitive advantage. And that's something that he and I talk about in detail daily, really, of what should I talk about with the team today. And he'll just say things that are on his mind, and he even, his wife will give him insights of hers, and he leans on her heavily. And, he does really good of listening to people around him and finding things that he feels the team will benefit from. And so, it's not me coming up with these ideas. It's not me necessarily reading the room unless there's glaring things. It's me, piggybacking off of Kalani and then doing what he needs in order to facilitate. Here's how he wants to grow the program. Here's what he wants to focus on through this year, as well as reiterating, some of the phrases like are behind me, some of the values and mission and things like that of the program that he's already established that we really want the players to become familiar with and make a part of who they are and how they live.
So when you have activities that are planned, are those things that you plan way ahead of time, or does Kalani say, hey, I think this day, I feel like the guys need a break, let's do something, and then you kind of plan them spur of the moment? Or do you have certain days that you already have laid out during fall camp where you go, we're going to take a break on this day, and this is what we're going to do, we're going to take a break on this day?
Float down the river.
Yeah, we're going to float the river, and this is the day we're going to do it? Or does some of that go by feel and you decide when they need it?
Yeah, there's a mix of both. This year we'll have to see if we adjust the schedule, but so far every year there's been some adjustment to the schedule in the sense that you plan the whole thing out, you send it out, and then, after the first week, it's like, look, these guys are getting too tired. We need to adjust either the schedule of the whole day, or we need to look at building in another day where we'll tell them they're going to show up, but we're going to go do this new activity, and then you set it up kind of last minute. But for the most part, the whole schedule is built as early as May, kind of finalized through there, just so that, you're talking 175 people that you're worrying about food for. When you got activities, you're talking closer to around 150 because there's some fallout there of, either staff or others who don't join along for some of those. But you're talking big numbers of people. And so if you don't plan in advance, you'll miss out on the opportunity to do a lot of it. But that's another one of those things where we really try and get the players buy-in, and we try and get the players' feedback on that. And so we'll survey, a leadership council of guys and be like, what do you guys like to do? Because we want, like you guys say, you need those times when you can cut out and just kind of break away from the normal routine and just relax and have a good time. And so, we've found things in the past that we've done that have been a good time. Floating down the river seems to be a staple. Going to Top Golf, the guys always love just cutting loose and doing that. Movies as a team are a really good time. We've paintballed as a team before. That's a really good time, getting in there, seeing the coaches go against the guys, doing some paintballing. And so we really try and mix it up. We've bowled over at Fat Cats and done that. So, it's fun. And no matter what it is, these guys love to compete. They love to have fun and just goof around. So it's fun to see them in that element.
Best movie you guys have ever seen as a team?
Oh man, that's a tough one. That you really put me on the spot with that one.
Seems
I would have to think about that one a little longer.
Hey, we're gonna give you a chance later on that one. Did you ever remember the Titans as a whole team?
So far, at least in my time being here, we have not actually put on movies that are not new releases.
So you actually take them to the movies and do a current movie.
Yep. We take them to the movies and do new movies. Yep.
Yeah. Cool.
Hey, in your previous position as director of football ops, you oversaw the locker room renovation on campus, and Blaine and I have both been inside there. It's fantastic. What are your plans for the locker room over at the stadium?
Right now, we're talking through all of that. We don't have any plans set in stone right now, but they're things that we know, as we move into the Big 12, we need to consider. And, those are things that Tom is well aware of and that are being discussed now. But right now, there's no plans set in stone to do anything other than just, take advantage of the good backdrop that we have and hopefully win games in that stadium and bring the energy that way.
Announcing uniform color schemes for games last year, that was a big social media hit. Yeah. I mean, people were loving it, and that's kind of become an expectation for fans. So you probably saw Notre Dame. They made a bunch of noise this last week. That's like a full-on Hollywood production to reveal their white jerseys with the gold helmets for that October game in Vegas. Do you guys have any plans to counter their approach? Are you going to try to top them on how we make the announcement for that game?
Yeah, I don't know how you top, basically recreating a Hollywood movie, in the place that it was filmed.
It was next level, that's for sure.
It was big time.
Yeah, it was big time, and it was fun, and we all got a kick out of it. We were all watching it, around the offices and scratching our heads about it a little bit and wondering, well, I thought we were going to wear white, but what. Well, we'll see what happens. I think I'll leave it at this. Cougar Nation will be, I think, happy. I think we'll look good. It'll represent well, and we'll look good, against Notre Dame in that game. So it'll be a fun one.
We know white's out.
Yeah, white's out. They
white's
took white.
Out. So you got Navy and Royal and a few figures.
You were telling me your favorite. We just saw one.
I loved the all whites with the Navy hat.
Yeah,
or the Royal hat.
The Royal hat, the helmets. Yeah, you like that cool. With the Royal. Yeah, I like that. That's
John, what's your favorite uniform configuration?
Man, I think one of the best, at least on the field, combos was what we wore against USC. I love that look of the Royal white Royal. I think that looks so clean against what they were wearing.
That might be my favorite too. I think that just pops.
Yep.
So the road opener is September 3rd. What is the plan to start announcing the uniforms that your fans are eager to see on Twitter and Instagram? What's your plan?
Yeah, we'd like to keep a little bit of intrigue with that, as in years past. And, I think there's a push for us to kind of keep it exciting on a weekly basis as we've done in the past. And, just let fans know as they come. I think there's some excitement there at keeping it a bit of a mystery and, unveiling as it comes.
The big reveals each week.
Yeah.
We look forward to that. So now look, you work closely with Kalani's schedule, and he's balancing a tough schedule now. He's got a newborn at home. We looked at a picture of Sylvia a little while ago with the coach sound asleep. Unique dynamic. You got a head coach with a newborn, and you're kind of in charge of his schedule. And in a lot of ways, you're really in charge of his program, so to speak. Boy, we've all had newborns at home. We all know, all three of us know what that's like.
Not for a long time, thank
How
goodness.
is this different this time around for you and his schedule and dealing with that?
I think the lucky thing is Sylvie came in July, really at a time that's a pretty slow period, all things considered, because, there's not recruiting going on. We can't have practices yet with the players. And so it's a time where a lot of times staff and coaches cut out just to have a little bit of a break before the storm. And like I say, things typically in terms of plans for fall camp and everything else are already done at that point. As well as, I've had the luxury this year of having some new staff. So, Billy Nixon, I had at this time take on the responsibility of, you're going to plan out camp. Like that's going to be your schedule to arrange the meals, arrange the activities, create the calendar. And he was great at it. He did an excellent job. And I really didn't feel like I had to oversee that much because I felt faith in his ability to do that. And so that allowed, and Kalani just got a new executive assistant in Christiana. And so, a lot of the things that I would have taken on before, I haven't had to right now. And it's created some ability to have some spare time to focus on other things that could benefit the program, as well as, focus on filling in for Kalani where needed. But look, you guys know as well as I do, having newborns, and I have an 8-month-old now who was born in November in this season. But you guys know, as dads, there's a lot that we just can't do. And so, Kalani's around a decent amount, because I think it becomes to a certain point where mom's like, look, I've got this. You just go do your thing.
And she's got 3 babysitters at home.
That's right.
That
are old enough.
Their youngest
of helpers.
Other than Sylvia, is 12, I think.
Yeah.
If I'm right. I think that's right. So, so they got some built-in babysitters at home.
Yeah. And they work on the cheap, too.
Sadie and Sky can definitely help. So
you don't have to pay them.
Yeah.
So you're born into this family, you're babysitting tonight. What?
Yeah, John, you've worked with Kalani for a long time. You've had a chance to get to know him off of the field, away from football. What is it about him that you're most impressed with?
He's a true people person. I mean, I don't know that I've met a person who has a more natural ability to connect with people, to read people, and who is truly genuine. And he is that. What you see on TV, what you see in interviews is who he is. And there's no facade there. It's all real, and that impresses me, and it motivates me, and I think everyone on the football floor to be better and to follow that example.
Now you and your wife Whitney have 4 kids, 3 girls, right? And the boy, is Baylor the new one? Is he the
Baylor's
8-month-old?
the new one, yeah.
So when BYU plays Baylor in the home opener, and the crowd, we were thinking about the crowd start doing that "Go BYU, beat Baylor." Is he going to be all right?
Like,
he'll be young enough to let that just go past him.
Know?
We'll see if he ends up making an appearance in that one. We might have to put the headphones on his ears so that he doesn't hear that. But we've already come to grips with the fact that we're just going to have to explain to him, look, this had nothing to do with someone who may very well become kind of an in-conference rival for us. So it's fun though.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay,
I can definitely see Baylor as a long-term. That just seems like a really natural rival for BYU. So, way to go with naming your son Baylor. Wow. We have 5 questions for you, John. We do this with all the guests. We'll compare yours to Mark's just to see if there's any. But
these are rapid fire.
Yeah,
these aren't the deepest.
You don't even have to think about them, and you just throw them out there. Okay.
All right. Favorite movie.
Favorite movie. Oh man, these rapid fire ones are going to catch me a little bit off guard. Can I say favorite show? I'll say sure. Office. That's what I watch more than anything is The Office.
Yeah, because you rewatch it. Office.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
Okay, The Office. Favorite band.
My favorite band. I'm going to go with Mumford and Sons.
Ah.
I'll be honest, I didn't see that coming.
Hey, guess what Mark Wilson said?
I didn't see that coming.
Average White Band. AWB.
I don't even know if I've ever heard of the Average.
I'm going to play some for you after the show.
I've heard of the really good white band. I've not ever heard of the average one.
No, you'll love it.
All right, favorite cereal.
Lucky Charms.
Oh, there he is. Do you ever eat all of the like wheat or oats part of that, and then just leave like 3 really good bites of nothing but the marshmallow charms for the end?
I always leave a few marshmallows, but I always leave a few of the oats as well. I've got to have both in the mix.
Oh, so
I will tell you guys,
here's a balanced diet.
Yeah, I got to balance that out. I will tell you one of the best things, though, speaking of cereal, if you guys haven't tried it, that you need to try is mixing in Fruity Pebbles with Rice Krispie Treats. That's a game changer in terms of the homemade Rice Krispie Treats.
Oh, yeah.
So take the Fruity Pebbles and mix them into the Rice Krispie Treats?
You can make pure on Fruity Pebbles Rice Krispie Treats. Absolutely. With the marshmallow and all that. Yeah.
Yeah. Do the mix, so you go half and half.
See, he's a balanced guy. Like this whole idea that he can't just eat the oats or just the charms. He's always got to have a mix. It just tells you that John's just a very well balanced guy.
All right, John. Favorite ride at Disneyland?
I would say let's go Space Mountain.
Space Mountain.
Nice.
Have you been on the new Star Wars ride everyone's talking about?
I have actually. That is an incredible ride. That was a fun one.
But you like Space Mountain better, huh?
World. We've actually never been to Disneyland, just Disney World. So it's on our list. We got to get out there.
Yeah, I kind of like soaring over California.
Don't go on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday,
don't go on
Saturday,
soaring
Sunday.
over Europe at Six Flags back in Virginia, because they tell you it's like soaring over California, but it's really a terror ride.
Is it?
I came out and laid face down on the sidewalk for 45 minutes after I went on that ride. So
I like that one at Disneyland.
Okay.
All right, and last one, favorite football stadium, not named Lavelle Edwards Stadium.
I'm going to go with Paul Brown.
Ooh.
Are you talking college or any?
Any?
We said any. How about college?
Yeah. I'll go Paul Brown. That's the Bengals.
Yeah. What about what's the favorite opponent's stadium you've ever been in for a BYU game?
I love Washington. I think that is such a cool.
It's a great setting, isn't it?
Stadium, but I mean the Coliseum was really cool this past year, and that was my first time going to a game out there. But I mean, there's just some neat ones. But I think being on the water there is really cool at Washington.
Cool.
All right, last question for you. Tomorrow at this time, which will be 7:45, you've had a really good day if what? Players report tomorrow night. You've had a really good day if what?
If we don't run out of food.
Everybody's going to have a good day if they don't run out of food. That's for sure.
Hey, feed the coach first. John, thank you so much for giving us some time on the night before the guys report, and crazy, busy, awesome month begins. And congratulations on your new position, elevated chief of staff heading into this year in the Big 12, and you've got some big assignments. So we appreciate you cutting out some time for us.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you. We'll see you guys in the season here.
You got it. We'll see you on Thursday when they let us come over and hang out.
Yep.
John, thanks.
Thanks, guys.
Jon Swift. So he's in charge of keeping Kalani fed, and happy, and what will keep Kalani happy is if he's busy working on the culture and chemistry of the team, which might be his biggest challenge on his list of duties. I mean, everything, organizing, ordering, and all that stuff, but man, chemistry is so important.
Yeah, and it's interesting because John's job is a big job. It's a new position. He's basically in charge of everything. Outside, like the coaches and the staff are in charge of the actual football, like putting a game plan together, and coaching the players up, getting prepared to play, and coaching in the games. Pretty much everything else outside of that, it'll be John's got his hands. And the folks that work for John have his hands in all of that. And BYU recognized in this offseason to compete in the Big 12, they had to expand that support staff in a big way, and they did. So a bunch of new positions. He mentioned that Billy's in a new position, but a bunch of new positions so that BYU can compete and create that culture you're talking about.
Mumford & Sons, I didn't see that coming. Mumford & Sons.
There you go.
What song does Mumford & Sons sing?
Average White Band you didn't see either. I'm going to play both for you after this.
I'm going to need to expand my horizons here.